Welcome, everyone, viewers out there in TV land. Thank you for tuning in on another episode of AGI, Anthony and Greg on Intelligence.
Wait, how old are you? I don't think anybody's watching this on TV.
What are you? What do you?
I guess so.
The old countdown with. Oh, okay, maybe not. I'm Anthony Maggio, and with me is Greg the Hulk Prost.
Another one I've never heard before.
Yes,
really.
Congratulations. We'll keep it. Look a little green.
Yeah.
A little shade of green going here.
That I can do.
So thank you for joining us, and welcome everyone. So, Greg, I want to start off with a couple points of a couple pet peeves I'm starting to get into on this one.
About me?
No.
Okay.
No, and
Then continue.
not nicknames either, but I think, like myself, you also go to a lot of trainings, right? Like AI is new, right? AI is new to the general population.
Yep.
AI is new, and these tools are new, and so if you're like me, you typically don't really get enough on the training side. Like, I am always reading. If I'm not reading about the tools and the technologies, I'm using them. And if I'm not using them, I'm researching them. And if I'm not researching it, I'm reading about it. And so it's like this cycle, like you're always doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I take classes also. So I'll go to trainings, and there will be, like lunch and learn styles or webinars or Zooms or whatever. And the thing I'm finding is just really the lack of just overall quality training. And a lot of it I'm finding, it's like you're heavy and you're a professional investment advisor. That's your normal day job,
Yep.
right? So I am not. So it would be like you coming to learn from me talk about how to do investing, right? You seasoned professional is going to look at me and go, wow, there's so much you have sort of kind of right. A lot you have just, you don't even know what you're talking about. And kind of that like Dunning-Kruger graph, right? Where like the little bit of knowledge, like you think you're an expert sort of thing. And then the more you learn about it, the less you realize that you don't have any idea what you're talking about. And I'm amazed at just how few really good quality training opportunities there are just in general for anybody. And the other pet peeve that I want to tie into that, and I think I read an article that research they're trying to monitor how businesses are monetizing and getting ROI, return on investments, on implementing AI. Roughly 97%, 95 to 97% have none. There is absolutely no ROI on anything that they've done. And when I dive in a little deeper with it, I'm like, okay, well, what are they doing and why? And so often it comes down to, and I don't know if any on the viewers there, on any of you have been in with this on your businesses, maybe it's your work, maybe, what your employer, whatever it is, where they just like, they'll buy a bunch of Chat GPT licenses and give them out to everybody. And then they tell everyone they're using AI, but yet they don't train the employees how you're supposed to use the AI.
Right.
They don't show them. So you're basically just, I equate that to, my son's just got his learner's permit. So we just went through that yesterday.
Sorry to hear that.
The fun begins, right? Yes. New set of worries in life. And it'd be like, okay, here's a car, here's the keys, just go figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? You would never give your kids that are just learning to drive keys to a car and say, figure it out. And yet that's what is happening in the businesses.
Yeah.
And it's both directions. If you're starting it, I'm seeing managers in that, like, they'll go get the Chat GPT license and then they're just trying to figure out how to use it and maybe how to implement it in the business. And I just think to myself, I'm like, if I didn't know anything about investing, I would go to someone like yourself to learn and to teach me about what I should be doing or not doing on investing. But yet, this field is so new.
Right. There's no experts.
There's no experts in it. So you got to find people like us, for instance, who spend, ask my wife, a unhealthy amount of time on AI. My kids just yell at me half the time. You're just using that AI stuff. And because we realize how important it is. But then at the same time, when things come up, we know how to work through the problems. We've been there.
Sure.
We've used it. We know how to deal with it. And so I think as we dive deeper into these talks and that, and then we'll start doing some trainings and things on it, because, I don't at any point consider myself an expert, but yet when I'm going to all of these different, watching the sessions, listening to what people are doing, and I think to myself, I'm like, man, you're not even scratching the surface of what you could be doing, even with the tools you're paying for right now.
And knowing that they keep getting better, right? 3 months from now, they're going to be even better, and you got to keep up with it.
Yeah, big change,
yes.
Right? Perplexity's Comet browser.
Yeah.
Huge fan of the Comet browser. And I had some annoyances with it's an AI, for those wondering, it's a browser that is built around AI. It's Chrome-based. So it's Chromium. So Chromium is the base for the model, and they built a browser centered around AI. I never, at the beginning, didn't really like how it interacted, because that was the first released browser that can interact with web pages. So it can click on things, do sorts of stuff.
We're going to call it Agentic, right?
Actually, that is.
It wasn't the first agent program, but it's the first good one that was seamlessly put into websites, right? ChatGPT didn't work as well with websites on the first Agentic
I'm
program.
I'm going to be here in Troy, Michigan for the day on Saturday. Build me an itinerary, find me places to eat, build me a whole thing, and it will start taking all those tasks, and it will start doing one at a time. Okay, you said you wanted to eat. We're going to start with breakfast. Let me find breakfast places. Here's a breakfast place. Next thing, you're going to
go to Google Maps, show you the map. Here's how long it's going to take you to walk.
And then it's walking distance, and then there's a theater next door. This Saturday they have this play going on, so I can order you tickets. So I'll get tickets for the 12 o'clock. And it will do all of this. That's the stuff it does. The part I didn't like, though, was in the beginning of it is it really was just reading the initial HTML code. Okay, so basically the text, if you will, when a page first loads is what it was reading. It wasn't looking at the screen. Okay, and I go, that's okay, because it
makes sense, right? It's looking behind it. It's reading the
it knows that there's a button that says okay, so it knows that, oh, if I want to hit okay, I click, quote unquote, on that button.
Sure.
Now, they've since updated, since the very beginning. So now what happens when it runs through those steps is it takes screenshots and looks at the screenshot.
Sure.
So now, instead of just doing the HTML text reading and then, which you can't always see everything, and if there's a JavaScript back end where it's kind of pulling data from another site that comes, it doesn't appear in the HTML code. It couldn't see it.
Right.
Haha. Now, when it's running through those steps before it does anything, on the side you can watch it, screenshot. And then you see the little box of the screenshot, and it's reading the screenshot. So now it sees exactly what you're seeing.
Sure.
It's not just reading the text coding.
And it's still reading it, doing a little bit of both and making it better, right?
Even better, because now it knows where it is on the screen.
Right.
And I haven't played around to confirm that the clicking is different. The interface is different now. So I might try playing around with having it, check this box and see if it can read it from a screenshot and then click on an area relative to the screenshot. So I'm going to play a little bit more with that.
But it might speed that up, because one of the problems is it is slow to click on things on the pages. You say, oh, I think I missed the box, so I might need to move the cursor over a little bit, or even cells in an Excel.
Yes.
I don't see that worksheet. I should probably scroll over, and it just takes, seconds to do all that.
Yes.
So
and it shortens that for
yeah,
sure,
absolutely.
especially with the screenshot piece, because now it can see the tabs.
Sure.
And it does. It reads the screenshot.
I didn't realize it was doing that. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's the thing, because when we talk about, okay, well, now the use case is a little different because, when we look analytically at what you can now do with that and what that changes in the operation, if you're on a cloud environment like with Google or Office 365 or SharePoint, that changes how some of those tools and things can be implemented now.
Sure.
But yet, on the training side, I go back to, the best professors in school were the ones that did it, right? They were the business owners, or are. They weren't just ones that I went to school, I got my doctorate, I never set foot in an office environment, but you have to listen to me, and I'm going to tell you all about why you should listen to me on business decisions.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a business? Have you ever had to make business decisions, right? That experience is so important. And there's just not a lot of us that are getting that deep in the weeds. And I think as time goes on, I think that's the benefit that, to these shows, then we thank all of our viewers for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, click subscribe. It's free. But, that's the things where we want to bring this to people, right? We want to talk about the latest and greatest, because I'm telling you, it's 4 hours a day. I spent the weekend, the kids and wife were out of the house, and I literally spent almost the entire day, 8 hours-ish, just playing around, using the tools. I mean, it was, I don't know, I probably need like a psychologist or something for this, but, but we can take all that knowledge, get it into like bite-sized pieces of here's what's important for you to pay attention to right now, and help everybody get kind of bridge that gap, because it's been out 3 years. The generic population, I keep saying general population side, right, from November in 22 when chat got released. And, if you think about how many hours that is, let's say, 4 hours a day for 3 years. You're round it to 1,000 days at it's 4,000 hours of trial and error and learning and reading and studying and testing. And you want to start now. You're 4,000 hours behind, and so anyways, I'm going to dive into that too much on that one.
Qualify here that I'm not that much of a dork. I just got to say, I use it quite a bit.
You have a life, is what you're saying?
I have a life. I have a wife and a life, not in that order necessarily. But, you brought up a different point, too. So, hey, I'm the expert on the bond market, supposedly. You know what? I'm finding that ChatGPT can answer the questions a lot better than I can. And one of the problems with asking an expert at anything is you assume that the audience knows more than they do. And, you're excited about talking about this subject, so you start using words that they've never heard before, and you assume they understand it, and, you lose people a lot of times. So being able to go into ChatGPT and say, look, explain the bond market to me like a fourth grader, and then start moving it down, third grader, second grader, use it quite a bit that way as well. I would also say that the agentic stuff is just still not quite there yet. It's been very frustrating.
I agree.
For us, and we do a lot of research, pulling in a lot of data, and trying to automate some of that really complex stuff. If you want to just fill in spreadsheets and that kind of thing, it works pretty well. But when you need it to, do a couple things and maybe think for a moment and then do something else, it's not quite there yet. So it's. I think people are struggling with it because, you have your regular job, you're being told to use AI, right? Management's coming down and use AI. You spend a couple hours on it.
Make us money.
Yeah,
poke with
right,
stick.
right. And here we
Stick
bought
poke.
all these licenses. You need to use it. And there's a lot of complaints about this, right? So they're saying, yeah, the CEOs want us to use it, but they don't understand that we don't know how to use it yet. And then you spend a couple hours and you try and build out an agentic program to get it to do something for you, and it doesn't work, and for some reason.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh man, now I got to do it by hand anyway, and now I just lost 2 hours. So companies aren't carving out time for people to train on this as well. They're just saying, hey, use it. It should be easy. Just ask the question, and it's not that easy as well. On the other
sort of
side,
like magic stick, right? You just
Yes.
magically everything changes.
and maybe one day it gets there. But the other part of it is when people, I do this in my talk, where people are like, man, you're an expert at ChatGPT, and I'm like, yes, I am. I can type into the search bar. It's like saying you're an expert at Google, right? Search. And so the regular ChatGPT, I don't. But we're talking about agentic types of things, or like you said, building a database on the previous
Yes.
presentation on questions and answers and how you build that database and how you find those questions and answers. That's what we're talking about. I think my father-in-law, I'll never forget this. The very first time he got on the internet, and he was talking to me and says, "You use it all the time, and I get it and everything, but I'm just sitting here. What do I type in, right? Well, I don't even know what to do." And I just thought that was so funny. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I can give you a couple things to type in, just
Ask it. What should I type into?
Yes, exactly. Say, hey, I'm interested in aviation, and give me some ideas of some programs out there. And once he started, okay, just that thought process. So the same with AI, even on a much bigger scale. We were talking earlier before going on about people taking classes on prompting. Or somebody wrote a book on prompting, how to prompt the AI to get the best answer out. And so they write a book and they're up on stage talking about, how to prompt. And that's already 6 months to a year old. We don't learn how to prompt anymore. You go into the ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to get out of you. Help me prompt this. I think we used it as an example when we were having trouble with talking to it. Help me prompt you. You still want to understand how those prompts work, but even some of that stuff, it's like, man, just ask it, get it going, just start asking questions. And as you said, you start getting down rabbit holes where you realize that you've been sitting here for 2-3 hours, just messing around with questions, and you can really get down some cool shapes. And you say, how did I get here? I'm starting with this prompt, how did I get here? Well, just start asking questions and have a conversation.
And I think that's important for those that are in the management roles, that are trying to implement it in their business or their organization. Is you have to think of AI as like a multiplier. So, and I say that in a way of, if you give it to an employee who knows nothing about a subject, the AI is going to multiply by 0. You're going to get why did you even bother, right? But if you give it, let's say you have you have all these layoffs, right, with GM right now. And so they just lay off all the experienced people. I'm going to super broad this. I'm going to lay off the experienced seasoned people because I can pay younger new people less because they don't have as much experience or whatnot, right? And pick any business here because they all do the same thing. It's nothing new. And yet the tool, if you give it to someone who's seasoned, it makes them way beyond. You just took somebody that's really good and an expert at something and made them like doctorate level, right? Because it multiplies. Now you give it to that brand new person that maybe this is their first job out of college, and so they only have the paper training, is what I'll call it. They only have the paper training. They don't have the real world training. And you give them the tool. It might get them closer to that what you had before, but if you just look at like returns on the investment side, take your seasoned people, give them the tools, train them how the tools need to get used and how they can use it, and let them go. They'll become infinitely more productive, and the ROI will be, it's all multiplying, will be way higher.
Which is why businesses are demanding that colleges let the students use AI in their learning process, because
Yes.
you want them walking in the door and say, hey, I know how to use AI to get to this, to make me smarter here. And I know how to dumb it down. Hey, present it to me like I'm a fourth grader. Or I don't have that person's experience. Explain to me all the things where I can go wrong here, that I don't know what I don't know. You mentioned Dunning-Kruger, the same thing, right? Help me with that. Sit on my shoulder here and say, hey, a more experienced person would understand this, or they would look at this way. Yeah, you're going to train and teach people a lot faster if they're used to learning that way, right? What a
Absolutely.
great way to learn.
And piggybacking on that one, so as another example, I've had the honor and pleasure to be able to talk to a few groups of business owners, right? So outside of my normal government bubble, these are all small business owners, and about the tools and how they can be used and how that can help them in their businesses. And so if any of you watching are small business owners or have been one, just think about, at what point in time would you have time to learn about something completely new that you know nothing about, right?
Sure.
So I love being able to show them examples. So the ones we did lately was for the holiday season here in Southeast Michigan. That was the last one, was because that was just a few weeks ago. And so I showed them how you can use these tools, like how you could use like Perplexity, like your research assistant, to see what is going on in Southeast Michigan. What's the macroeconomic factors? How is that playing into people's shopping habits? How is it at a smaller level? What can we leverage? What can't we leverage? What should we be looking at? What shouldn't we be looking at? And a whole bunch of other examples to get a detailed research of data and facts, and then having the AI do the analysis to then say, here's kind of what everybody is saying, because the AI has access to everything. So all the economic newsletters and data, all of the anything people are posting online, all the consumer reports when they get out. So it's taking that and aggregating it, and then analyzing it and giving you the most probable outcome of what's going to happen. And so being able to show them that, in about less than 5 minutes, you have an entire trend forecast of how people are going to shop this year that may be different from prior years. The some of the highlights, and so this will be fun. We can, hashtag first here, so we'll see how well this worked. A couple of the things that after the holiday season, we'll find out how good that was, right? Some of the things it talked about was the expectation that consumer spending was going to remain unchanged from last year, regardless of inflation factors, regardless of consumer confidence and all that. The expectation from all of the authoritative sources was that the spending was going to be very much similar, if not a little bit higher. This is what I found was interesting, the way they purchase is what the assumptions are that are going to change.
Yeah.
People are going to be
buy now, pay later.
It's not just on that side, but also it's the earlier shopping. So they said they're not going to be waiting for last minute deals. They're going to be watching for things like coupons and specials, and they're going to start spending earlier. There was some talks that for the big holiday, next week, we've got Cyber Monday and Black Friday shopping for Thanksgiving weekend, and that they expect there to be a lot of Christmas purchases being made during that weekend, because they're going to look for deals on certain things. When they see a really good deal, they're still going to be spending it one way or another, but they're watching way closer. So when you talk about what does that mean to a small business owner, well, it doesn't hurt to start preparing earlier. Maybe you should be looking at doing some weekly specials or some things to incentivize people, like, hey, this Friday and Saturday, we're doing a 30% off on the first $100 or I don't know, make up whatever the version is. We went into other examples, but that's where you can use the tools to get you kind of insight. Because I'm telling you, the small business owners, they are amazing. And I have a fan for DDAs, the downtown development, the Michigan downtowns, or any downtowns. It could be out of Michigan. Those really built and drove, in my opinion, how the U.S. and the economy was really built, right? You had a central downtown. I had the restaurant. You were the what do you want to be? You can be the craftsman. You can make tables. You can be the carpenter. We'll make you a carpenter now. So we did business together, right? I bought my tables and chairs for my business from you. You made them. You ate at my business. We went across the street. We banked at the local bank. The money stayed locally, not into a national economy of banking, that the money disappears locally, right? And then that was reinvested in loan to my neighbor. And so these small downtown really was a vital part of it.
No doubt.
And when you think about the small business owners, they have a successful business because they're good at whatever that item is. If it's woodworking and crafting tables and stuff, then that's you're the master carpenter of that. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean you're good at marketing.
Right.
And you're not necessarily good at maybe financials. Like, maybe I'm a really good chef, but I don't know the first thing about how to price menu items. Like, I don't know. I'm just really good at making at a bakery. Maybe I'm really good at making cakes, or I'm really good at whatever it is. And so those are the things I show and train these small business owners, and that is like, hey, look, here's how you can attack marketing, right? So, for each of the towns that I did, I made a custom GPT. So it's like a focused AI model that is unique for their town. What's unique about their town? What's specific about their town? What's the demographic of the town? What kinds of shoppers are there? So, one of them was by a busy highway, so they didn't necessarily have a lot of local, but their reach was further because they had a highway that ran through it.
Sure.
So therefore, 20 minutes of driving was a lot different for that population than ones that just have a 25-mile-an-hour downtown. And so 20 minutes is a much smaller geographic area for it. And so, these tools then, you train them on these things. So now when those businesses are looking at, marketing a $20 inflatable cat for Halloween, that was an example in the talk. It was oddly specific because that was the one that came to my head. And so the $20 inflatable cat, now the tool can tell you, okay, here's how you should be marketing this. Like, here's your outreach in the areas. You should be doing it this way. This will give you the best chance of success. Here's the events, because we always load all the events that are going on in the town.
Yeah.
So you have this parade and these other weekends coming up. So make sure to emphasize and put a sign in the window. So or if
you're going to have a sale, do it that weekend.
Do it
exactly.
And that's how using and just getting these tools, like, okay, here, I built this for you, take it, and now they get to just use it.
Yeah.
And the feedback's been great so far. And, if anything, it just takes the time away, right? Like, you spend that time trying to, I'm selling stuff. I'm trying to build the business. I can't afford a marketing company, and I can't do all that. It just kind of helps them cut that gap.
That's a great example of using AI and helping people, and small businesses in particular, that they struggle with, everything from legal to the financial side of it,
yes.
right? And marketing, all these little pieces, and
trend spotting.
Exactly. And generally, they're not good at any of those. They're good at determining the product and making a really good product, and they think they have a great product. Now what do I do? And it's expensive to hire consultants for all those individual pieces. And yes, you start asking the right questions. And even if it's not in there today, that data is going to be in there, sometime later. And you're probably going to be able to get, what is the demographic of actual purchases within my city over the last year? And you say, is that data out? It's out there somewhere, and AI is really good. It's grabbing some of this stuff. So you might really be surprised how detailed the information is out there. That's a great example.
It's so true, and that is more than just a Chat GPT prompt, right? That's not something you're going to go prompt Chat GPT and magically get answers, right? You need different tools for different uses. And when they all come together, man, it just gives you a leg up. Because for me, I have a passion on businesses, small businesses. I want them to succeed. And these big players, they're out there, right? They have a lot more capital to spend. They have the Amazons and all the other, we have to make sure.
And they have all that information.
And and you're basically running on their servers anyways.
Yeah.
But, we need to give every advantage we can to our local business owners, because I think, especially with the AI tools, where if you were thinking twice about starting a business, man, is it easier now. Okay. I don't know anything about marketing and making a plan. It does.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the most expert plan in the world? No, but it'll be better than average.
And you start running, right? You get it 60% of the way right off the bat, and then you can start
what's
working.
What's working and not working, you feed that into it, it modifies, you're up to date, and away you go.
And real quick on that, I find it to be stimulative that way, where help me get started, or I get stuck on something.
Yeah.
Give me a little help here. Same kind of thing.
It's so good at that. It really is. So on that note, hashtag small businesses, we love you. So please visit your local downtown. We got holiday season coming up. Check the Black Friday special, Cyber Monday. Check your local sites first.
Make sure you check the prices before Black Monday to see if they actually are 30% off on Black Monday or not.
Yes, exactly.
Black Friday.
Exactly. Get all of those in and buy early, so that when we come after the New Year's Day next year and we can do a look back, we can say that everything we just told you ended up being correct. So that would be even awesome, better.
We're going to say that anyway.
Nobody will know. It'll be fine.
Perfect.
On that bombshell, thanks for joining us, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll see you at the next one.